What's up guys, in today's episode I'm going to be talking about UTI versus community college. Pros and cons, which one's better when it comes to going to school to become a future automotive mechanic. So let's get started. Yo, what is up guys? Nick the Kai here, Let's Drift Media. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. If this is your first time here, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button down below. Drop a comment, really helps the YouTube algorithm. Reason I'm doing this video as well is this is probably like one of the most asked questions I get from you guys who find my channel and hit me up on Instagram and stuff. You guys are in high school or something, maybe you're not even in high school, you're a full-grown adult and you're looking to go to school because you want to become a Toyota technician or a mechanic in general, and you don't freaking cat hair in the garage, and there's no cats in here ever. So yeah, I get this question a lot, like, hey Nick, like I want to become a mechanic, like what do you think about UTI? And when I say I get this question a lot, guys, I get this question a lot. Like probably every other week, somebody's messaging me saying like they think they want to go to UTI, or hey, what do you think about UTI? And if you know me, you know what I think about UTI. If I could go back, I'll sum up this episode really quick. I would not go to UTI. I'm very glad I didn't go to UTI, and I'm glad I went to community college. But today's episode, we're gonna dig deeper, talk about price points, stuff like that, so hope you guys enjoy it. And a disclaimer, if you are going to UTI, or you just graduated UTI, or you went to UTI, there is no hate in this video for you guys. This has nothing to do with anything like, oh, fuck that school, fuck them. End of the day, it's your life. This is an informational video to help people make a decision, a very costly decision when it comes to automotive schooling. So don't take it personal, guys, if you guys are UTI boys. So before we get started with today's video, if you can, drop a comment. If you're going to school right now, you went to school, regardless where you went, you're working in the field now as a seasoned mechanic, you're like getting ready to retire as a mechanic. If you could go back in time, would you go back and go to UTI if that was the choice? If you had the choice, UTI versus community college versus no college, I would love to hear from you guys, and I love hearing your guys' personal stories. Also helps the viewers go down and read other people's experiences, not just mine. So I'm sure you guys, if you're watching this video, you've probably seen the commercials, maybe even went to some of their on-campus tours. They look badass. The stuff they show you in those commercials, it's like, you're gonna be working on race cars, you're gonna be dyno tuning stuff, you're gonna be rebuilding high performance engines. Like, it just looks so awesome, and I'll give it to them. It does look awesome. Before I graduated high school, I actually went to a UTI open house with my older brother when he was looking into what he wanted to do for his career. And we went to one of their open houses and I just like fell in love. I was like, oh my God, like this looks so cool. Like, to get to do stuff like this for a living, like it really just blew me away. I was like a young kid still in high school, not really knowing anything about life. And I'll give it to them, they do a very good job when it comes to promoting their brand, their school, making it look badass, attracting the younger crowd with all their race car stuff. But one thing you have to remember when checking them out is at the end of the day, they are a for-profit business. Meaning that it's a business that they're running to profit off of, versus say a community college, those are not profit businesses. So that's something definitely key. Of course, they're gonna make it look super badass, super enticing, especially to the young people, to try and get their money. Because at the end of the day, that's what they want, is your money. So just something to keep in mind when you go check them out. But yeah, I will give it to them that they make some badass commercials, and me even being when I was 16, I was like, dude, I want to do that. But the sad reality of the automotive world is more than likely you're not going to be doing half this cool stuff in the day. Yes, there are performance shops, there are race shops that you can work at, but I would say majority people end up going to work at an independent shop, mom and pop shop, or they go to a dealership and become a flat rate tech, or they go to a fleet site like I did eventually and do that. So day in the life as an automotive mechanic is definitely nowhere near what you guys see in these commercials. So just, yeah, guys, keep that in mind. Keep that reality check in mind. As you guys know, I have the Discord. You guys are more than welcome to join it. We got a lot of fun guys in there. We have some fun talks in there. We talk tools, tech talk, everything like that. I'll leave the link down below. But I asked everyone in the Discord, for those of you who went to schooling, if you had the choice to go back, what would you choose, UTI or community college? 5 people voted for UTI, 61 people voted for community college. All the mechanics I work with now, I always ask them, like even the new spots I go to or the new shops I've worked at, I'll ask them like, hey dude, like if you could go back, would you go to UTI? A lot of these guys didn't go to UTI, so they're definitely gonna say community college. But the guys who did go to UTI, they always tell me now, like, no, like it was a waste of money. Like I got into all this debt. I wasn't even making that much money in the beginning. I had to pay that debt off. And now where I'm at, I didn't even need UTI to get here. So I wish I didn't go to UTI. So it's not just me. Pretty much like I would say like 95% of the people I asked would agree with me. So first point I like to make is don't put too much emphasis on which school you go to, what school you go to, where you go. Schooling is only so much of the big picture. Yes, you can learn a lot at school, but the cold hard truth is all the stuff you're really gonna learn and memorize and craft your skill, you're gonna learn that on the job when you're actually working in a physical shop. I would say schooling though does get you really book smart. That's what school does, but this is a hands-on career. So book smart only does so much, but I would say schooling does help when it comes to ASCs, which are very important when working in this industry. I definitely feel like going to school really taught me what I needed to know to pass these ASC paper tests and get me my paper certification, which is very helpful and got me to where I'm at today. You need those ASCs for what I do now. But I have noticed a lot of people who didn't go to any schooling, they really struggle when it comes to taking their ASCs. Like they're badass mechanics, they can fix cars really good, they really know how to whip a wrench around. But when it comes to these paper ASC tests, they struggle because they don't have that book smart knowledge. They have the hands-on knowledge, but schooling really does help you with the book smart knowledge. But like I said, being such a hands-on career, having all the book smart in the world really isn't gonna do much for you in the real world. So best example I could give to this is like CPR. I tell people this all the time. You can go take a 2-year course or a 1-year course on doing CPR, saving someone's life, respiratory issues when they're choking on a peanut or something, I don't know, a steak, whatever you want to choke on. But doesn't matter how many books you've read about CPR, I can guarantee that if you had to use those skills in the real world, like someone was choking, I don't think you're gonna be that confident, and you're probably gonna be pretty scared to actually perform the CPR versus someone, a medical professional who's done CPR 100 times in his lives. He's gonna be a pro at it, and he's probably gonna have a higher chance at saving that person's life than you. Yeah, you might save his life. I don't know, I've never done CPR, but that's just the best way I can explain to it is the schooling is only gonna teach you so much. You learn so much, like so much, a majority of your skill while actually doing hands-on, fucking up, making mistakes, breaking things, misdiagnosing cars. That's when you really learn how to work on cars and how to get good on cars. And plus there's a whole nother side to it, like working in the dealership, you're flat rate. You get paid by how many cars you bust out a day. You're not gonna learn how to become a fast flat rate mechanic and balance your time and your movement at work at school. You're gonna learn that on the job, doing your routine, figuring out stuff like that. So again, it's only gonna be so much of the big picture when it comes to your entire career. That's why I always tell people don't focus too much on school. I feel like a lot of these younger guys who ask me this question think like, I'm gonna go to UTI, I'm gonna drop 40,000 on my education, which means I'm gonna make the most money, I'm gonna be the best tech there ever was, because I spent so much money on this school. Like, go look up how many college graduates get their degrees, their bachelors, and they don't do shit with it. They don't even make that much money with it. I'm sure there are some that do use that degree and pursue something to make a lot of money and be very excellent in life, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them get this fancy degree and they're working a job that has nothing to do with what they got their degree from, but it's like you spent all that money on that schooling. What was the point? It's the exact same in the automotive field. Doesn't matter what school you go to, it really just comes down to you and how smart and badass you get at this craft. And another thing on top to add to that is, what if you go through schooling, regardless, UTI or community college, what if you get into the field, you work in it for, I don't know, a year, 5 years, and then you realize, hey, this career is not meant for me. I've seen a lot of guys do that where they come out of school, they work in the dealership for a little bit, maybe they don't move up to be a flat rate tech, they don't really like the environment of working in the dealership and all the bullshit that comes with the politics and all the stress involved, and they end up deciding like, hey, this career is not for me. So just think about that. What if this career is not for you? Would you want to spend all this money on schooling and tools and then 5 years later be like, oh, that was a waste of time and money? I know I definitely wouldn't have. When I went to school, I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted to be a mechanic, but I didn't really know what else to do, so that's the path I chose, and I believe it was the right path, at least for me. But luckily, I went through a community college and had financial aid pay for pretty much all of it, so I didn't really spend anything on it. But at the end of the day, it ended out working for me as far as this career path. And I will add too, when I was the loop foreman at Toyota, like in charge of all the loop techs, they would actually let me interview the new applicants who are applying as loop techs after they talked to like the foreman and the service manager, of course, but they would give them to me and I would get to walk them around the shop and ask him questions. And then at the end of the day, it's like the service manager would always ask me like, oh, like, what do you think about this guy? Like, oh, like, it was always a thing like, oh, he's from UTI, like, what do you think about him? The reason that kind of happened, this is not to just put it all on UTI, but we had a lot of guys who came from UTI and they kind of just had like their head up here, like, oh, like I went to UTI, like I'm a badass. And then they're starting off as loop techs. They didn't really know shit. They thought they knew shit. They weren't that fast and they weren't that good. They didn't work as hard as some of the other guys who had no schooling even at all. So it was kind of like UTI almost got like a negative stigma at the dealership I was working at. So that's just another thing to think about. Regardless what schooling you go to, stay humble in this industry. Coming out of school, I guarantee you're starting at the bottom of the ladder, so don't walk into whatever job you're working at thinking like, oh, I spent this much money on my school, so like, yeah, like chest puffed, you know what I mean? Like, stay humble. Schooling is only so much of the big picture. I can't say that enough. And not to mention now, if I look back when I graduated as a T10 graduate with a couple ASCs, I thought I was king of the world. Like, I was like, man, like I went to school, we tore apart one engine, we replaced like one transmission or two, we did some really badass stuff. Like, I thought I knew how to work on cars. Probably like a week or two into the dealership, I realized, damn, I don't know shit. And now looking at my younger self back then, I'm like, really like, yeah, dude, like you didn't know shit. Like, good thing you kept your mouth shut most of the time. So, yeah. Another key point to think about, number 2, is can you afford it? This is definitely a big thing to think about before signing loans or signing up for whatever schooling you're going to. UTI right now is about $40,000 for their full tuition program. Yes, it is a 1-year program, I believe, depending on what course you take, because I know they have their different courses, high performance and stuff like that. But shout out to Dave Brown from Citrus College, T10. He sent me this little PowerPoint thing that had pretty much what they show at their open house when they're trying to attract younger students to join their program. Citrus College right now, for their full 2-year T10 program, books, tuition, uniform, everything included that you're gonna have to spend at least on going to school and to graduate from their T10 course like I did, is about $4,000, just under $4,100 right now. So let that sink in. That is a big difference. $4,000 to $40,000. That is a huge difference to me, and yeah, that's just another reason when I look back, I'm just like, why would anybody go to UTI? Especially not to consider, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money on tools to become a mechanic. Being on the lube rack, not that much, but once you become a flat rate mechanic, you're gonna probably spend like 5 to 10,000 at least on your box and tools you're gonna need, and it never stops. You're never gonna stop buying tools. Both courses, UTI or community college, both offer their 50% off Snap-on discount, Matco discount. You can get it no matter where you're going, as long as you're at some accredited automotive schooling. But yeah, just think about that. Do you want to spend $40,000 and be in debt $40,000 for the same education that you can get out of community college? Because remember too, you're gonna start on the bottom changing oil as a lube tech, probably making minimum wage $15 to $20 an hour. So probably only making like $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Do you want to have that debt hovering over you for like the next like 3 to 5 years? I mean, if your parents are rich as hell and they're gonna pay for it, good for you. Then yeah, go to UTI because it's quicker. You could get in there in a year and hopefully find yourself a job after. But if you are taking out a fat loan, I don't know what to tell you, man. I do not think that is a good idea. Like I said, even for me with the T10 program being so cheap, my parents were low income, which worked in my favor, and I got financial aid. So I didn't have to pay for anything. My family didn't have to pay for anything for schooling. The government pretty much paid for all my stuff and even sent me money so I can pretty much live like for gas money and food. So I really feel like I came out on top when it comes to schooling. But yeah, I would say the price point is like the biggest thing. Like if UTI was maybe like a little bit more affordable and not like a freaking down payment on a house, then yeah, I would say definitely like it'd be a little bit tougher comparison. But when you're asking $40,000 for a tuition, you're sucking all these people in, making it seem like it's really cool. Then these guys get out, they're making like low wages because that's how this game, being a mechanic, works. You start off at the bottom and you don't make shit. I think it's really fucked up, honestly, what they're doing. Like they're just taking advantage of younger people, getting them excited, aroused about like the possibilities. And it's like, yeah, you can do a lot of these things for a living that they show you, but I'll be honest with you guys, very, very, very few people actually do that badass race car stuff for a living. Like it's a small handful. A lot of these UTI graduates end up at the dealership. I'll tell you that. And trust me guys, I've been working in the automotive industry for about 10 years now, and I see it every day. And I guess the last thing to think about is, where do you want to be when working in the automotive industry? There's a lot of brands you can work for. There's a lot of different areas in the automotive field you can work for. So that's something that you should really think about in the for the long-term goal. Because say you want to be a Toyota tech, that's what you want to do. You want to be a Toyota Master Tech. Citrus College has their T10 program based on Toyota. If you want to be a BMW tech, UTI does have their STEP BMW program. They have their Porsche program. They have their high performance program. But if you are looking to get into a certain brand, you have to think that the schooling doesn't guarantee you're going to get that job where you want to get. Like I said, just coming out of school, it's still going to be very hard to get a job. It all just comes down to personal situations. But don't let like that, like, oh, because BMW has, or UTI has their BMW program, I'm going to go to UTI because I want to be a BMW tech. I went to Citrus College, started at Toyota. After a couple years, even went to GMC with no GMC Buick American car history, but I had work experience. And then from there, went back to Toyota. And then from then, got a job opportunity at BMW with no BMW experience. Started there, was one of the top flaggers. Not the top flagger, but I would say in the top handful of flaggers with no BMW experience. So that's when I tell you guys, work experience is so much more valuable than just having a piece of paper. My work experience now can pretty much, I feel like, get me in wherever I want to get as a flat rate tech if they're hiring. But now I don't even work for a brand. I work for a utility company as a fleet mechanic. And looking back now, I didn't even have to work as long as I did at the dealership in order to become a fleet mechanic now, and I'm making more money than I have before. So I guess when it comes down to the point, think about where you want to be in the long run, but just don't put too much emphasis in the schooling, because you're gonna realize quickly that schooling is only so much of the big picture. So I hope I got that point across. I know I'm still gonna get people asking me questions if I should go to UTI or should I even go to school at all. But from now on, I guess I'll just reference this video. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Really appreciate it if you made it this far. We are at 35,000 subscribers. Just want to give you guys a huge thank you. We are on the road to 50K. I can't wait for that moment to happen. And yeah, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll catch you guys later.